This is Mac here, and I'm here with Carlos. Carlos is back. The legend, the man is back.
Hello there, Mac. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Good to see you. It's good to see you. It's
Well,
brilliant
it's
to have
good to
you
be
on.
back. As you know, I was otherwise engaged for a while, but I'm very happy to say that I'm a free man again,
Yes, indeed.
and
uh,
and now I've got time to do this, which is great fun,
yeah,
and it's always nice to do these videos with you.
brilliant. And I appreciate it. And it's lovely to see you. Lovely to have you back. And it's lovely to talk about some football. So let's get into it. Right. So what have we got here? We've got Gareth Southgate. Listen, this guy. So England football team, Euro 2021. So it was supposed to be last year. Here we go. So Gareth Southgate, he's the man making the decisions, making big decisions, in fact. So look, what's your thoughts on the team? So we've got here the team, pretty much bar one, which is Trent Alexander-Arnold's been changed for Ben White because Trent TAA got injured. What do you make of the team, first of all? Do you think it's a team that's going to win anything? Do you think it's a good balance? What's your thoughts?
I know that in England people are very optimistic. I think, to be honest, that they're being overly optimistic for two reasons. One, there is an imbalance when it comes to the quality of the midfield, the attack, and the defense. And what I mean is that there are very good midfielders, there are good strikers, but the defense, I think, is more or less second rate.
Right. Okay.
And I think against a top quality attacking side, I think England will struggle because they'll be forced to score quite a few goals because I don't think that defense can keep top teams out. I mean, the central defense position really is going to be found wanting. And I do not think that a partnership of Maguire Stones would have been much better. Everyone's saying, oh, without Maguire. But, good God, Maguire Stones isn't that promising either.
No, Maguire's had an indifferent season, really. He's had some moments, hasn't he? But overall, he hasn't been great for United.
No, not at all. But when you see that the backup is, for instance, Connor Cody. I mean, is Connor Cody really an international class player?
Well, we're going to find out soon enough, aren't we?
Mings.
Yeah, Mings.
Please,
no, Well, look where Aston Villa finished. They're a good side, but they didn't finish like, they didn't pull up any trees. They did in the first half of the season, but the second half they were so poor. Mings had a terrible end of the season.
Yeah. I think that England have been lucky with Trent Alexander-Arnold's misfortune.
Okay.
Because and I don't mean that because they will not have Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean that because by accident they will suddenly have Ben White in the team, and I do think that Ben White is an improvement on what was there in central defence.
Why is that?
I think he's safer. I think he's a better quality player than those that I already mentioned. Okay. Will he be given the chance? Will he play ahead of these players? I don't know. But if he does play, I think that he will probably do better.
Now, do you think that he got picked because ultimately Maguire is injured and he's not fit enough to play? We know he's not been fit for a while. He's had some injuries. Do you honestly think that was the reason? I mean, that's my personal thought, why he was picked over some of the people who you would consider probably of a higher quality, like obviously Jesse Lingard. He didn't get his chance. I mean, what's your thoughts on the matter?
Well, everyone's saying that Lingard should have gone, but you lose a defender such as Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a fullback. but he's a defender. And this opened up the opportunity to include an extra central defender. I think England had sufficient fullbacks in the 26-man squad. But at central defence, I think they were going to be very short. In order to include Lingard, I mean, could you really lose Alexander-Arnold and put in Lingard with what you already have in midfield and attack? I don't think that you could afford to include another player in that position. So I think that, yes, you're right. The Maguire situation persuaded Southgate to bring in a central defender. And, just looking at the list, John Stones, I mean, what a horrendous end of season he had. Everyone said when he came back, everyone said, oh, this is a new John Stones. Fantastic. He's playing really well. And for a brief moment, I was stupid enough to fall for it as well. I thought maybe he had changed. I did think that maybe he had changed. But the final games that he played and the Champions League final were complete disasters. John Stones is still John Stones.
It was bizarre. I mean, why do you think that happened, though? I mean, I still can't get my head right how he can go from being relatively steady through the season. I wouldn't say he pulled up trees either. I didn't think he was incredible. But how he went from being relatively steady to then just completely jumping off the cliff with no parachute. It was very bizarre how he became like the same old John Stones who'd been dropped for like the last couple of years. I don't get it.
I never thought he was good enough. I never did think that. Even when he was at Everton, when he signed for Man City, I wondered why on earth Guardiola wanted him. And then this season, he was looking better. But a couple of things, I think, and this might answer your question. One, Ruben Diaz next to him, I think helped a lot because Ruben Diaz is fantastic. Brilliant central defender. Yeah. And also Man City were very dominant for a large part of the season. So the defense was less exposed. Man City, in other seasons, were a team vulnerable to the break, to the counter-attack. And somehow they strengthened the midfield. Fernandinho was playing well in midfield. And I think that they were less vulnerable. So they were... the defenders were under less pressure. But as soon as we saw a Manchester City that had practically won the league title and were therefore not playing at the top of their game, Manchester City were being attacked a bit more. And that's when we found John Stones to be the John Stones of yesteryear. And in the games against Chelsea have found a way of hurting Manchester City.
Yeah, they're the bogey team, right?
Yeah, they found a way, and they attacked them quickly with Werner's movements as well. I think they did a lot of damage. And in those situations, with the way Chelsea were playing, I think John Stones was exposed. The goal, well, John Stones made 3 big mistakes in the opening 13 minutes of that final. 2 of which could have cost them a goal. 2 of which could have cost Man City a goal. And then the goal itself was the result of John Stones being completely out of position.
Where was he? It was bizarre. It was crazy. I think
they're still searching for him. There's a search party still trying to find him.
It was like...
And that forced Ruben Diaz to try to cover the space that John Stones left. And Werner just dragged Diaz to one side. And that was it.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about that. It just makes my stomach churn. How badly he was out of position. I don't know what he was thinking. It was a horrible. We know we've talked about loads of decisions badly made by Pep on the day, but that was just you really got to play some basic football to get that right, and he was so bad at that. So We know, looking at that situation, let's be honest, the defending for England's going to be poor, right?
Yes, I agree. I mean, you look at, I think at fullback, England will be okay.
Okay.
For instance, I think Reece James is a good fullback, and he will probably be cover for. So will he be first choice? I don't really know. But he really is good enough. But well, you've got Kyle Walker there as well at right back. But
Yeah.
if your four central defenders are Jones, Stones, Cody, and Mings, then God save England.
And you know what the funny thing is about all this is that your man Harry Kane said this is a better team, well, much better prepared than the team that went to the semi-finals of the World Cup. I mean, who says stuff like that? That's madness.
Well, maybe he's referring to the new players coming in, like Mason Mount, for instance,
Okay,
like Grealish,
right.
players I think of a higher quality that England had in midfield and attacking midfield. Maybe he's referring to that, but the overall balance of the team, I'm not sure, is better.
No, definitely not. I struggle to see how it's massively better. But look, we'll see. And going through the midfield, we've talked about that already. But Raheem Sterling's had a bad season. Rashford, very average. Sancho's had a good season. Calvert-Lewin, very average. Saka's obviously been brilliant. Scored the goal last game. Foden's had a good season. Grealish, a lot of too much hype, to be honest, around him. Kane faded badly at the end of the season. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think England are going to do well?
Um, they should come through the group. Also, they're playing at home. But see, I thought every game was going to be played. Every England game was going to be played at home. But the quarterfinal is in Rome if England win the group. And that's where they could come a cropper. You see, when you actually read the squad and read the attacking players, you realize that the attacking opportunities England will have will not be anywhere near as good as people believe. Let's go through that lineup again. The attacking players, the attacking options will not be as good. I mean, let's go through it. It's a bit small. It's Grealish, who I agree with you is I think the hype around Grealish is exaggerated.
Yeah.
Foden, I do like. I think he's an excellent player, but he's not exactly a striker, is he? I mean, he's an attacking midfielder. Who else? Harry Kane, obviously top quality.
Yeah. Raheem Sterling.
Sterling, I don't think should even be in the squad, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rashford has his form has dropped terribly this season. He shouldn't be in the starting lineup. Who else? Sancho. I haven't seen much of him, but from what everyone says, he's had a good season.
Yeah,
and Calvert-Lewin isn't really. I mean, the difference in quality between your main striker and your backup striker is huge. I do like Calvert-Lewin, but he's miles away from Harry Kane in quality.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and then obviously Saka, last one.
Yeah. Well, again, I think he got into the national team quite easily and too early. He's had a good season. He's a good player, but it just seems to me that in England, in the England team, very much in the same way as in the Spanish team, if you have a good 20 minutes, you get capped.
Yes, I agree with that. Actually, I just thinking about the teams that England are going to play in their group: Croatia, Czech Republic. They're playing at the moment 1-1 with Albania and Scotland. So they should get out of the group. Surely,
they should win it.
They should win it.
Yeah. But although Croatia, they're a good team. They have quality players. A lot of the World Cup finalist players have retired, so they won't be as good as they were 3 years ago. But they'll be a tough team to beat.
Yeah. I agree. It's going to be interesting. So going back, so we're happy with Ben White. We know about Trent Alexander. We talked about that. We know about Ben White. So what's your what do you think? Looking at the teams, what do you think's England's chances of getting to the final, let alone winning it? I know winning it is probably a big ask, but getting to the final or any of the finals, what do you think?
England, if they win the group, in the same way as Spain, if they win their group, will be on the soft side of the draw.
Right.
Because if results go as expected, then you're going to have, in the top half, you're going to have France, you're going to have Belgium, Portugal, and Italy.
Yeah.
Whereas the bottom half of the draw will probably only have England and Spain.
Right.
And the third team in the France, Portugal, Germany group, which I think actually could be Germany. And I don't think Germany are are of the same strength as they were many years ago.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true indeed. How's Mesut Ozil though, I wonder?
Well, he's not going, is he?
No, he's not going. No.
He's not in the squad.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So he's gone from being this amazing player.
Yeah.
We had him. He went obviously cold. We sold him on, and he's disappeared into the mist. I know he's obviously had issues with the management there and everything as well. So, yeah. But so, who's your prediction? Who's your prediction to win it? Then?
Well, I think the best two teams are France and Portugal.
Yeah.
I think Italy will be a tough nut to crack. They are my three favorites: France, Portugal, and Italy. And as an outsider, I really rate Denmark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And why?
Quality players, good system, very quick on the break, good finishers. I think this Denmark team, even if they don't surprise anyone this time round, I think this team they're building will be a formidable side in the coming years.
Okay.
But I do think that they have enough this time round to get out of the group and maybe get to the quarterfinals. And who knows, maybe semis. I think on their day, they can beat anyone.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's see what happens. Sounds interesting. My prediction is France, for obvious reasons. And we do see it happen quite often, really, where the World Cup winners win the Euros as well. But, it may go another way. There are obviously other contenders, but I think France have all of the eras pretty much covered, from obviously the front, the middle, the back is maybe the only bit which is a tiny bit suspect. If their captain is in goal as well, Mr. Tottenham man, then that's that. Yeah, we know what Tottenham season is all about. Then that's the only kind of areas. But apart from that, France for me are the whole package. And some of the players who've probably had an average or just above average season, maybe in the UK, always play well when they're playing with their French compatriots. So yeah, we'll see.
I don't rate the central defence, France's central defence. I don't rate it, but everywhere else, they are superb. And now with Benzema back,
yeah,
he is quality. So they will be very difficult to beat. The thing about France is that they don't score very freely. But maybe now with Benzema, that will change. Not necessarily because Benzema will get the goals, but because he can give the assists as well as score. They're an excellent side. If everything goes the way it should, then they should at least be finalists, to be honest. And I do think that only Portugal and Italy can beat them.
Yeah, no, good point. Good point. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes. But let's get into, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave some comments, by the way, everybody who's watching or is watching after the live event. Let us know your thoughts on who your predictions are for the Euros 2021. I've gone for France. Obviously, there's been a collection for Carlos there, but I think we're all in agreement that France is probably the hardest team. If you can get through France, you can probably win it. So let's see what happens. But let's move on. Copa America 2021 was supposed to be in Argentina and Colombia, and things changed. Obviously, it's been delayed because it was supposed to be in 2020. Obviously, because of COVID spreading like wildfire through the whole world. Everything's been delayed till now. The Olympics, obviously, Euros, and here we are, Copa America. So it's moved now to Brazil. These guys obviously thought they were on for a good thing, 2021, but now it's been moved to Brazil. Okay, so first of all, what's your thoughts about this whole mess that's happened? First of all, that it was even mooted in the first place to Argentina and Colombia, considering their situations internally. What's your thoughts?
I think it's embarrassing that the tournament is going to be played.
Right.
It's even more embarrassing that it's been moved to Brazil.
Yeah.
If there's one place where COVID is worse than in Argentina, that's Brazil.
Yeah, we can see here 17 million cases they've had, and they've had 474,000 deaths. I mean, that is, I don't know where to start with that kind of number. But
you've got to remember that the president, Jair Bolsonaro, has said for a very long time that there's nothing to worry about COVID. No need to do anything. It's just a cold. That's what he was saying. And the result of that is that they've had nearly 500,000 dead.
Yeah. Which is
shocking.
Is
shocking.
Yeah.
And, Colombia pulled out.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say he's been very much a denier of it and very much on the side of the former US president in his space with this. And obviously they've suffered because of it.
Yes, very much so. Fortunately, we lost the former. He's gone. And I do think that in the next election, we will lose the latter. Again, a blessing for Brazil and Latin America if he goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully things will change and get back to normal. Well, things are never really normal in Brazil. But I must say that things were getting much better under Lula da Silva before Bolsonaro won the election. They had to put Lula da Silva in prison for him not to win the election again. And it was proved, yes, the accusations and the charges didn't really stick, but they managed to get him out of the way. I was in Brazil during the time of Lula da Silva.
Oh, wow.
And things were seriously improving. I talked to a lot of people and things were seriously improving. So, let's hope he comes back. Anyway, besides that, and getting back to football, the Brazilian national team said they were going to boycott the Copa America.
Okay.
But I knew it was just a show. They didn't really mean it, but I think they felt they had to do something. Now they've said they will play under protest. Right. So what I'm thinking is, don't play.
Yeah, don't exactly.
Play. Be brave. Stand by what you said and what you believe, and do not play.
Yeah.
And if you lose, there are things that are more important than winning a trophy, the European Nations Cup or the Copa America. And when it comes to public health, people's lives, I think we should realize that football should take a back seat. And if Brazil cannot put out a competitive side, then so be it. I think other teams should have followed the Brazilian example and should also have said they would boycott the tournament.
Yeah.
Now we see the Brazilian lineup there. It's a top-class team, obviously.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, they've played in the qualifiers. They've won every match. I think it's 5 out of 5 they've won. In the last Copa America, which they won and was also held in Brazil, they did receive a bit of a helping hand from the referee.
Really? In what way?
Oh, as usual.
Well, how did they get help?
Well, Brazil have been getting a helping hand not just in South America, but in World Cups since 1970.
Oh my God, that's controversial. And the reasons why? Why do you think that?
Oh my God, I could give you a list. I could give you a list of favors they've received. Okay, let's say refereeing errors. Okay, because we're not accusing anyone, but the refereeing errors have been many, whereas the errors that have gone against Brazil have been few and far between. But one of the helping hands they received, the only team that could have threatened Brazil in the last Copa America, was actually Uruguay.
Right.
And the final would and should have been Brazil-Uruguay. And I think Uruguay would have beaten them.
But you got beaten by penalties, didn't you? I looked at it.
Yeah, but hang on. We got knocked out in the, I think, quarterfinals by Peru on penalties. And we had 3 goals disallowed.
All right.
For very dubious offsides. 3, right. Not 1, not 2, 3. That's Brazil wanted Uruguay out of the way.
Right.
They've always had a lot of respect and a lot of fear for Uruguay because Uruguay have a habit of beating Brazil in the big games.
Right, okay.
And they never like playing Uruguay in a final. I mean, it goes back to 1950 when Uruguay won the World Cup there.
Yeah.
And on many other occasions, Uruguay have managed to beat Brazil. You see, when it comes to, if you include friendlies, then Brazil have won many more friendlies. I mean, overall, Brazil have many more victories than Uruguay. But if you look at competitive matches, it's actually quite close.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And look,
but listen, if we have time, one day I will go through all the errors that have gone Brazil's way at World Cups.
Yeah, well, I'd like to do that. That'd be brilliant. But look, looking at the situation, it looks like it's going to happen. We know the situation in Brazil's dire. But Brazil, even I'll never forget the Olympics where there are loads of issues with building and construction. And they were looking like they weren't going to get the buildings finished on time. But it still happened. They still rolled out Pele and they still got the Olympics done. They've been obviously fortunate to hold the World Cup there as well and all the rest of it. So I don't think that this is not going to happen. So under the circumstances that we have, are they going to lift again, Brazil, considering it's at home? Or is it going to be yourselves, Uruguay? If anyone doesn't know, Carlos is Uruguayan, even though he's in Spain at the moment. Who's your prediction to win it?
By the way, Peru were badly treated against Brazil in the final of the last Copa America as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Brazil should win it. They're on top form at the moment. They have a great team, and they're playing at home.
Yeah.
So if you add all that together, I think Uruguay are not the team they were in the last Copa America. Argentina certainly are not a threat.
No.
Although you never know. You never know. When the big 3 in South America face each other, anything can happen, to be honest.
Okay.
So, on the day, maybe Argentina could beat Brazil. But
Okay.
logic would say that Brazil should have more than enough. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at the Argentinian team, and it's full of big names.
Yeah, of course. But they
But you
never
look at
played
them play, you watch them play, and all you want to do is go to bed.
They just don't seem as interested as you'd expect them to be. That's how I've always, when I've seen Argentina play, this Argentina team anyway. Um, there was something that Maradona, I always go back to Maradona because that's normal. There's some magic that he weaved over the team to just go his way. But this team, I just don't feel, and we know obviously with Messi with Barcelona even, he's not someone who's going to drag you and weave his magic and take you with him to win big things, great things. So that's how I feel when I watch Argentina. I don't feel like there's a kind of a real push, the hunger, desire to get it done. It's just individuals in a team. That's my personal thoughts.
I think the reason why you get that impression is simply because of the lack of quality.
Okay.
And because the team is not really a team. But I can tell you that they are very passionate about their side.
Okay.
So it's not a lack of passion. It's a lack of many other things. Now, as you say, Messi, for all the greatness that he has shown us over the years, he's not an inspirational player. He's not a leader.
No.
When Barcelona were winning things, they had Pujol, they had Iniesta, they had Xavi, they had Villa, players you could look to and who would drive you forward, even when things were getting tough. You know, they had the quality, but they also had the character. Messi doesn't have that character. If you look to Messi when things are getting tough, then you may as well look the other way. The only thing he might do is, because of his quality as a player, he might weave some magic and score a goal or give an assist. But he hasn't got the character to take the game by the scruff of its neck. Don't forget, in the tie between Bayern Munich and Barcelona, the picture that was seen at half-time in the dressing room, when Barcelona were getting well beaten by Bayern Munich, and he was sitting down with his head in his hands, or just looking as if he wanted to go home. You know, you don't want that from your captain. You want your captain to be standing up and shouting orders and trying to get players back on their feet. That's what you need. He's not that type of player. It's not his fault. Not everyone has the same character. It's not a criticism, you know, but maybe he shouldn't be the captain just because he's the best player. You see, now for the last couple of decades, there's a habit of giving the armband to whoever's regarded as the best player. The best player isn't necessarily captain material.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, look, I can look. I only have to look at my own team to know that. Look at Arsenal; they've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who was considered the best player, but now he's struggling to put any kind of decent football together. He's not a shouter; he's not a screamer. He's just kind of around, and we've suffered for it, and he's been injured a lot of the time as well. So. You know, for me, it's very bizarre. And why do you think that is? Why do you think there's been that change to do that? Because I can't remember it always being like that necessarily. It's usually like just the most shouty, most inspirational person, not necessarily the best player. I don't understand. Why do you think there's been that change?
There are two types of captain, I think. One is the one who shouts and shakes players into action. And then there's the quiet captain who leads by example, the one who puts himself about, makes tackles, makes forward runs, is always in the action. And that is also very inspiring. I think the habit of giving the armband to whoever is regarded as the best player goes back maybe because, let's face it, Pele was not captain. in 1970.
Yeah,
I don't think Pele
exactly.
was ever captain of Brazil. He was never, at least in the World Cups. I don't know if he was in any friendlies, but he was not Brazil's captain. Passarella was captain of Argentina in 78, a leader. It wasn't Kempes who was the best player. But then Maradona, who was the best player, became Argentina captain.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that he also had the character.
He did. He definitely had the character.
Oh, most definitely. And then in France, Platini, who was by far the best player, was also made captain. But again, he was a leader. He could lead because he could shake players back into action, but he could also lead by example. Fabulous player. A fabulous player. A fabulous character to have on the pitch as well. Besides all his qualities as one of the top players, probably the best player, French player of all time.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes. And then I think those two cases then persuaded other countries to give the captaincy to whoever was regarded as the best player. And it's not always the best decision. It's not the best way to appoint a captain.
No.
I mean, there have been times, I think, when Neymar has been captain of Brazil. I mean, God, can you think of a player who's less deserving of the armband?
Yeah, it's just crazy. He's too busy rolling around to be captain at anybody, let alone himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, good. Well, we'll see. So prediction Brazil for you and myself for winning the Copa America. But like you said, anything can happen. Like you said, the Argentinian team, Uruguayan team, even though, like you said, you may not be as strong as you used to, still got some absolute quality. You've got a guy who is extremely dangerous, still Suarez, and the rest of the team as well. So we'll see.
There's some kids coming through who will be top stars in the near future. And remember this name, Facundo Torres.
Facundo Torres. Okay.
21.
Right.
He got his first cap the other night.
Okay.
And I can tell you that he will be a top player. And he will be coming to Europe probably in 2022.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we'll definitely revisit the Copa America as it progresses and ultimately talk about the winner. So that'll be good because, we made our predictions and it'd be nice to talk about both sides of the coin. So, yeah, it's all good. But brilliant. Well done. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for all of your thoughts. And thank you for all the people that's watched. Been great to have you on the show. Okay, so just leave some comments. Leave comments about all your thoughts about who's going to win the Euros, about Gareth Southgate's decisions, and also who is going to win the Copa America. We've got covered quite a lot, quite extensively, and it's been lovely. Lovely to have Carlos back on the show. The legend is back. He's here, and we love it. We love it. We love it.
I love being here. I love being here, Malcolm.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's lovely to be as well. So it's great. So, we'll be talking throughout the whole summer about football. We've got plenty to talk about. There's always something going on with football. We're trying to get something in on the weekend, and we'll be back hopefully next week as well around this time to talk as well. So leave your comments, leave your thoughts. Let us know anything you want to talk about, and that'll be great. So thanks again, Carlos. Thank you for joining.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. And this is Mac and Carlos signing out.